Pennsylvanians know Buy American is not an unfortunate tendency. That's why I want to revitalize Pennsylvania's industry and see the words, "Made in America," again. But my opponent disagrees. And as we say in the Navy, if you want to know where you're going, first look at your wake. Congressman Toomey left a wake of economic destruction and dangerous deregulation. His rigid mindset has failed ordinary Pennsylvanians, and now he's campaigning on more, much more of the same. We just can't afford to let his ideology take firm hold, particularly at this time in the U.S. Senate. The consequences for working families in Pennsylvania and across this country would be permanently catastrophic. That's why I'm here today, right now, affirming my commitment to fight for each and every one of you. I would lose my job in a heartbeat to do what's right. It's why I didn't run simultaneously for my congressional seat when I ran in that primary. And yet, if you can't be in the Navy, I have the next best job. I ask you to join me in this fight for all of us. The consequences to me don't matter. The consequences to people that I owe so much for salvaging my daughter. I would do anything to make sure she and every one of us inherits an America that my father came here to be all he could be and give me the opportunity to have lived my dream. My opponent is woefully out of touch with that and far too extreme for our common wealth. So this November, it's our responsibility to stand up and say, hey, enough's enough. You don't just vote once for change. You fight for the change that's needed to fix America, to make it work for us. This is no time to shy away from a fight, not this fight, because we're fighting for middle-class Americans and those who want to move up to that middle class, given just a fair opportunity. It doesn't matter race, doesn't matter gender, orientation, it doesn't matter. How can we be all we can be if we aren't all given that fair opportunity? And I saw it every day in the service of you in your Navy. We cannot let the extremists and the special interests deceive us or shout us down, no matter how many millions they spend on deceptive campaigns against us. Right now in our state, in this very Senate race, large special interests and apparently even foreign corporations are now trying to buy influence over the outcome of this election. This isn't an auction. This is an American election. But we cannot let them dictate our future. We must determine it for ourselves, and we will. I have great faith in the common sense of Pennsylvanians. I wouldn't be here if it were not for that. Moreover, ever since I announced my candidacy more than a year ago, this race, however, has always been about much more than just the policies my opponent and I support. It's bigger than each of us. So much bigger than each of us as individuals, and bigger than any media or TV commercial or campaign speech or any news story. At its core, this race is really about who we are as Pennsylvanians, as Americans. Here in the state where our independence was born, we are the special heirs to a legacy of freedom and opportunity that can be traced right back to the founding days of this wonderful republic, and which attracted so many, like my immigrant father, to this particular state of Pennsylvania. But today, much of this missed opportunity has faded because of a lack of courage and accountability in Washington, and a growing group of leaders down there who failed to stand up for our values and chose to fight for rigid ideology that favored special interest instead. People like my opponent gamble the American dream away, undermining our ability to leave a brighter future for the next generation. And in their rush to side with those who had already attained wealth and prosperity, they even took positions that benefited countries like China at the expense of middle-class families here at home. But working Pennsylvania knows it's not about big corporations. It's not about the privileged few. It's about providing equal opportunity for the working people who build wealth up and drive it forward. Innovators, entrepreneurs, and small businessmen and women who make up the strongest part of that wonderful fabric of this great nation. We Pennsylvanians understand that the enduring truth of the American dream actually lies in the values we share and in the constant struggle we have to live up to those values. Values that I will always argue focus primarily on the working family. And it is here in Pennsylvania where we know best that adversity also brings opportunity, and that although our families are struggling, and they are, travel with me. If we seize the chance to restore that American dream, this moment of crisis can be a turning point for this great country. I'm convinced of it. This, then, is the hour for courageous leadership. People are frustrated. They're rightfully upset, and they want to hold someone accountable, but they also know that we cannot return to what got us into this mess. They want to believe again. For at the end of the day, it's not about anger. At its core, this election is about a battle of ideas on the way America needs to move forward and who we are. It boils down to a basic choice between two people of two very different backgrounds with very different approaches and values who believe in two very different sets of ideas. I respect my opponent. But I know our country cannot abide moving further toward his extreme ideology that brokes no dissent from the belief that those fortunate enough to have made it should dictate their beliefs upon others. Now more than ever before, we need someone in the Senate who will actually roll up their sleeves and do what it takes to focus Washington once more, again, on America's working families, in the knowledge that they are the ones who drive wealth up through the opportunity they have to do so. But as John F. Kennedy once said, the hour is late, but the agenda is long. Yeah, it's long. We know it. So today we must take up this fight right now, not tomorrow, now. And once again stand up to those elements of extremism that helped actually get us into this mess and now want to take advantage of it. If you believe in this country, if you care about the direction we take and the values we choose to define us, then you can't just sit on the sidelines. This is about our future. It is about yours, and restoring the opportunity for all our children to achieve their dreams. I'm fortunate. She's now 9, going on 22, because of you. But I want her to have what I got from my pop and that world's greatest generation. This election is about embracing the independent spirit that has always defined the hardworking people of this Commonwealth, to where we so recognize what's wonderful about America's character, which is a wonderful alliance between rugged individualism, always allied with the common good in this commonwealth. So let us move forward with vision and resolve towards the aspirations that were born right here in this state, in this commonwealth, in Pennsylvania, one hot summer more than 2 centuries ago, when great leaders came together in the interest of individual freedoms and in defense of our common good. Let us stand together once again in an exciting way to fight for equal opportunity for all, to seize control of our future, and to lift up the American dream that has shaped so much of our history as it did mine. For even in the moments of hardship, our country has always found its greatest strength in the ideals of and the belief in our working families and those that want to work. So although today's challenges are great, sure they are, we know it. Despite the long odds and the cries of those who seek to defend what has become a harmful status quo, I have never been more confident in our ability to meet these challenges together and restore the promise of the country I love. I owe you. I want to pay back. This country needs us. We all have to be in this fight together. No one votes once for change. We all know it has to change. So please join me in fighting for that change. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you very much. What I'm about to do is not characteristic of me. We got in here about 4 a.m. this morning. That's characteristic of me. I think I have stock by now in Days Inn. Slept and got up, and first meeting was at 8. But I have to go right from here to the editorial board of the Post-Gazette, and then grab and head back to Philadelphia for an event. Would you please, I promised the press to go off to the side and take a few moments with them on the way out, but in order to get back, would you please excuse me for not taking questions this one time? I love questions, and you know it. Thank you very much.